This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
It's your favorite basketball player, Tyler Hansbrough.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
Duke sucks and Duke will always suck.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
Football is back, and so are we, boys. Listen, this podcast is not about being right. It's about being entertaining, and sometimes right. If there is anyone who thought that this wasn't going to be the outcome, you're insane.
You've never played football. Have you ever been out on that field?
Okay, well,
He
let's
throws
not
a
do that.
No, because that is a real point.
Peyton Manning would be in the fetal position
But
every
that's
time he
not
threw an
Tua's
interception.
game.
Well, he's
That's
got to
not-
learn that game because
that's
he's going
not
to end up
Tua's
dying
game.
by the time he's 50.
And then if he dies, he dies. But he's playing the game at the
but
max
also-
level that he knows. We're back. Clear eyes.
Full hard!
Can't lose.
Play like a champion! I have an update if we want to already just kind of jump into the updates on the divisional round bets, boys.
Tell me.
Doing well, right?
Doing real well.
Except for
Doing great!
Well, except for Pittsburgh winning.
Yeah,
we still
but I
have
mean,
to
like,
battle with.
but I mean, like that one was actually okay because, like, one of those teams had to lose, and I'm kind of happy it was the Commanders. The Commanders needed to lose a game to kind of, help that division along. Okay, so our divisional round bet, 8 picks, $60, pays $5,300. The buyout now is $380, up $130 from last week, boys.
That's 3 orders of Wingstop.
So
3 orders.
yeah.
That's 180 wings. Think about it.
Something to think about.
Yeah, you guys won't know that we won $5,300, but there will be signs.
That's it. It's 180 wings. That's the fucking sign.
If you ever see us with 180 wings, just know.
Yeah. We, Braxton and I, fresh off of a bachelor party
That's correct.
this past weekend. Our dearest friend, Matthew Barker, from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, we flew all the way across the country to see the Virginia Tech Hokies put on a very Virginia Tech Hokies type of performance, which
A
was
great first half.
great first half, good defense, atrocious offense.
They just fell apart.
Just such bad. And it's not even as if like Clemson came in and dominated. It was just kind of like whatever. And we'll talk about the game here in a second. But where I was going with this is we were able to bet on college in Virginia.
It's never a good sign.
And there I was thinking, man, we could put some money on Robert Morris in Delaware, boys. Some college basketball on a Thursday night.
How can you? Is it through a bookie or
It's
you can
just same through DraftKings. It
it's-
just shows up.
Each state is different.
Yeah.
Oh, so through your DraftKings
Yeah.
app you can do
Yeah.
it there.
Yeah.
It was
That's even more dangerous.
incredible to see, like Oregon and Georgia, Alabama, like college
Isn't
basketball
it weird?
games
Like
show
there-
up.
there's like generic logos.
I
is,
hated
yeah.
that. I was
Yeah.
just going to bring
Because
that up.
remember when I said like the DraftKings app had a glitch and it showed that there were
Yeah.
college bets and I fucking it got my juices going. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit! But it said like Georgia, Alabama, and it's these generic helmet
They're like
logos.
just
I'm like, what
both
the
red
fuck
helmets.
is this?
Yeah, you have no idea what you're betting on. So, well, I did not win a single college bet.
Would you end up investing?
In there, I probably like $50, not a lot, but it was kind of like 10 here, 20 there, a couple of fivers.
I had 3 bets that during any part of the trip I had put together, put how much I was going to bet, and then during my drunken stupor, I just forgot
to do it.
to place bet, and they all would have lost. So I'm pretty
There
thankful.
you go. Yeah, congratulations on not losing money.
Thank you.
No joke. I was a little bit bummed that we wouldn't be able to bet this weekend, and I considered texting you and being like, "Can you play some bets for me?" But because I didn't know what Virginia's laws were, so I just figured we weren't going to be able to bet on anything this upcoming weekend. And then when we get there, I go, "Wait, hold on." Robert Morris, Delaware.
Yeah, God, it's a lock.
Like you were gonna ask me to go to A&A?
No, I would just like
No.
play something in DraftKings or whatever.
Like
Not in
NF
college. Yeah, just like NFL bets.
for NFL.
Yeah, just NFL bets or anything like that. So,
But yeah, on the drive from the airport to the house, we learned that Virginia allows not only betting, but college betting, and you can have open containers in your car.
that's true. Yeah, you could actually, as long as the driver was not drinking, it was legal for you to have the alcohols there.
Is this Vegas?
It felt great. You were just
Yeah,
on
it was
the
very,
open
very Texas aligned in that aspect. but
Open-
obviously not the gambling.
open back roads in Virginia. It
Yeah,
was
beautiful place.
Great. Yeah, the weather was
Beautiful
incredible.
place.
It was like 80 degrees in November, which was
Great.
crazy. Yeah,
I'll take it.
had a lot of fun. We appreciate the friendships that we made,
Yeah,
that we
great
had,
pe-
that we
great
made,
people.
that we enhanced. I was telling Braxton this earlier. This was probably like the most dude bachelor party that I've ever been to. Like, and with that is that Matt doesn't value the food plan the same way that like we would. So he was just like, and this is not bad at all. It was just like an observation. It was like, I just like pizzas and beer, frozen pizzas, Red Barons,
Yeah.
and then we'll figure it out along the way.
I bet when you even say the phrase "food plan," they're like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck
well,
are you
yeah.
talking about?"
Yeah, it was not a priority.
Yeah. Because that's definitely like when we go on trips as a friend group, that's probably one of the top 3
Yeah.
priorities.
Anything
is-
that we do is like, what's the food plan?
Yeah. It's probably
Tailgate
like
trips.
in no certain order, like comfort, liquor, or alcohol, food.
Food, yeah.
Alcohol's pretty high up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Alcohol's pretty high.
Yeah.
It's just not like it's not to the point of let's just get there as quick as possible. It's like a long drawn out thing, but then you realize, oh, we finished 8 bottles tonight.
Yeah,
and
for
a
sure.
fuck ton of beer.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed the conversations that we had. The game was awesome. The
was.
weather was incredible. Just
And not only the game, but the experience being in the club, and also, I don't know if you noticed this, but just like the overall Southern hospitality.
Sure, yeah.
Like everybody was so fucking nice.
yeah,
So generous.
we didn't have to get into any fights,
No,
or
it was
we weren't even close.
no, it was one of the like more chill bachelor parties I've been on in
Yeah.
a while.
And that's one of those stadiums where like them winning doesn't matter because it's the experience
No.
of
That
being
it-
in that environment.
and it was packed out.
It was packed, and they're so mediocre. They're like
Yeah.
a 500 football team with
But
like
the
not a
atmosphere
tremendous
of-
upside.
The atmosphere and the environment of that stadium trumps
Yeah.
them winning or
yeah,
losing.
yeah.
It was really important to me to like be in the amongst the people for Enter Sandman. I mean, that was like, you know, a huge bucket list item to be able to go to that. Like, obviously, like there are times where you could probably like intentionally get back to a Virginia Tech, but it doesn't like feel like it. So you're just like, given the opportunity, absolutely, I'm going to go to the stadium. So I kind of was like, I'm going down as far as I can to the field. If anyone wants to join me, that's great. I kind of was like, you know, as the kids say, wanted to touch
Did
grass.
you go
a
by
little bit.
yourself?
I ended up going by myself. Other people
I-
followed, but then
yeah,
I lost
but then
them.
we lost you and you went to a different area. But there
Yeah.
was definitely more of us who were down there. You definitely got closer. You were like in the end zone.
Yeah, I was right down there where all of like the military guard was.
Yeah.
I forget what they called themselves.
I just went
whatever,
down
but-
to the outdoor club section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, I need to be among. I almost went into the student section.
Yeah.
But then found my way kind of behind a, goal post or whatnot in an end zone, and that was really cool. Stayed
Yeah,
down there
it
for a
was
little
very
while. The bar scene was great. Tailgating, and we talked about this. Tailgating was like not like that crazy SEC style that maybe I was kind of curious about that. I wasn't sure what it would be like. I was very fine bar hopping versus like trying to like get into infiltrate a tailgate. You and I still picked up a few beers along the
Yeah.
way for free. They were really nice. So
But yeah, the bar scene was very fun. Honestly, the whole overall experience on game day was amazing.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
we went out the night before as well. to a place called Farmhouse to get dinner. It's like a steakhouse and everything. And everyone's going around, and she's saying, like, what the tap list is and everything, and people end up getting, like, these Yinlings or amber ales or whatever. She gets to me, and I go, I'll have the pineapple martini.
They all dogged on you.
They were not impressed.
Not impressed, but guess what? By the end of the night, I would like to say I paved the way for other people to get more comfortable, because by the end of the night, people were sucking down pumpkin spice martinis as dessert martinis. And
I was one of them.
And you're well, and it was delicious.
It was delicious.
So, and our pinkies were out, and we had a grand old time. Then we went out to Main Street, whatever.
Center Street, yeah.
We went to a couple bars, Champs. We went to Sharky's. Sharky's had like an outdoor upstairs thing. Braxton was like photobombing a group of girls in like a non-creepy way as well. I'll show you the picture. But
they
like,
loved me.
And it was great. Like, he comes there,
Sure.
he's like, oh, here I am, haha, it's fun. If I did that, they would look at me like I was a psychopath. And so the charm that you had versus like the creepiness that I would exude.
I will say, though, just to be fair, that first night we went out in Blacksburg, for some reason, I was just that right point of drunk where I was like a social butterfly. Every conversation I started, people were receptive and nice and all that kind of stuff. And then on Saturday, after the game, I think, we're walking back towards like the downtown area, and there's these girls that walk by, and I was very drunk, and I was like, hey, where are you girls headed?
Jesus.
and they looked back at me and the whole group, and we're just like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. Then 5 minutes later, he's like laying strewn out on a freaking park bench or whatever. He's just like this. But
that image doesn't tell the
It
story.
doesn't, no.
It looks like I'm like blacked out.
Yeah,
like,
people
oh.
were concerned about you.
Hey,
But
girls,
we were-
my van's parked over there. On the
We did
corner.
have a van down the street. It was a party van.
Oh gosh, Melvin,
Melvin.
my
what a guy.
my sweet boy.
So, but no, I mean, it's just like
It was great.
The whole experience was 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Again, the conversations, the people you got to meet. I know it's kind of like when you put like 10 people together who really like your degrees of separation. Like you're only like running 3 deep of people that you might know there, but you know it's kind of fun to have that opportunity.
Yeah, it turned out really well.
Yeah, I was feeling, I say this, I talk about the creepy factor, because I was feeling very much a lot older than everyone there, especially on the Friday night, the night before. And I was just kind of like, I thought like the waitress was hot, and there was just like, this is kind of creepy that I think that it's like me trying to like engage in conversation. I was just like, this is... I feel like
it was
there's
a lot of young people.
There's a lot of young people, and I was just kind of, hey, where are you girls going?
No matter who you're with, you
Yeah.
create your own creepiness, though.
Yeah.
It's
Creepy
like,
Pete was out.
but it's like it doesn't. You're not creepy, but in the back of your head you are, and then you
Right.
say it.
And then
Yeah.
and then
And
now
it's
that's
like-
all people can think about you. So
It's not
You're-
creepy
you-
till you say it's creepy.
You are your own demise.
Yeah.
That's what we realize.
I'll take that. I'll take that for sure. So much snoring at that house, by the way.
Oh yeah.
You could not go anywhere without the sweet rumbles of
A bunch of alcohol-filled dudes.
sleep apnea.
Oh yeah.
Very big man certified.
Yeah, I
Bachelor
didn't.
party.
I didn't think it was possible to get a crew together that was bigger in size, not numbers, but size.
Yeah.
Than what we had in Montana, but I think they might have.
I'm pretty sure Matt probably felt like he was very protected all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
As like he was probably one of the smallest, if not the smallest.
Just
guy
to put
there.
it in perspective, Miguel, I was the 4th or 5th biggest guy.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of me's.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Bunch of Caleb's.
bunch of Caleb's. Yeah, because there was a guy Ty. He
He played in arena football.
played arena football. Is currently like at Portland Airport as a police officer there. Just
A hoss.
incredible. Yeah, he played at Western Oregon as well for football. But nothing was more manly. Nothing was more manly than what I did on the golf course. Seconded, right behind was Braxton. I go up for a drive. I think we're on the second tee. and I swing my driver so hard that on the backswing, and it was a true hit, on the backswing, the driver snapped in half.
Your driver or rental?
My driver, well, it was a rental.
Rental.
Snapped in half.
Some may say that there was a crack. Not us.
Not us. There's no way.
Did you have to pay for that?
I just threw it into the forest. Snapped right in half. It was a true hit.
What was
it
the
went
shot?
Straight.
Yeah.
It went straight. It wasn't. We were playing best ball. We were like scrambling. And,
No, it was a great drive. I was right there.
And it didn't hit. Like again, it's not as if it was something that was bad. It was probably the most manly thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Braxton though almost outdid me.
Yeah, I sunk a not 50 feet, 50-yard putt
It was incredible.
50-yard putt
over 2 hills and double break
with a putter.
with a putter.
Yeah, on the fringe. So you
Yeah,
putted
so it
from
was
the
this.
fringe.
It was the green itself was probably 35 yards long. It was long and skiddy, and they had this really light fringe, and I was on the fringe, and it was obviously not the best ball, but I just walked up to it and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna see if I can make this," and I hit it, and I just started walking away because I literally couldn't see the hole.
Yeah, there's no expectation this thing's going in at all.
And literally there's 2 hills and it's breaking left then right, and then I hear everybody like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and then they start cheering, and I was like, holy shit, did that go in?
And the thing is, I saw it with like about 20 feet to go because I was walking to one of our balls on the backside of the green. So I didn't know actually who hit it. I thought it was Matt. And then because like Matt seemed like he was tracking it the same way. I was like, oh, wow, that would have been an impressive shot from that distance. Only like Braxton was like another 30 yards behind him.
Yeah.
So that was pretty sweet.
What course was this? A really nice course you guys played at?
No.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was a nice course, but not a really nice course.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, what would you say? Is it like Glendoveer comparable?
Sure.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
wide open, not terribly difficult.
Yeah. I mean, Glendoveer's not wide open, but
I mean, it's not wide open though, is it? Right?
there's a lot of trees.
All right. Well, that's true.
Like a Rose City.
Closer to a Rose City.
Closer to a Rose City.
But
yeah.
nicer quality. Yeah. Imagine if Rose City took care of like their golf course.
It was really well. I mean, you're talking about like November. It looked great.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Again, 80 degrees.
So a Rose City with Langdon Farms care.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of fun. Appreciate you, Matt. Love you. Thank you so much for having us out there. We know that you are one of our P1s. Recruited a couple of other P1s as well.
Yeah.
Had a couple of subscribes along the way. Let people casually know some of the things that we had going on. So
Perfect.
fun. Let's see. Before we go any further, I also wanted to, I guess, like take it to a little bit of a somber thing. No, it's not anything that happens with us. It's just like when we were in Virginia, I found out that longtime Blazers broadcaster Brian Wheeler passed away.
Wheels died
at the age of 62. And Wheels was like someone that I looked up to so much. Like I absolutely wanted to be a play-by-play announcer growing up. I actually sat in front of Brian Wheeler at Blazer home games, and he and I would spend time on the road. We would go to comedy clubs together, and I got to know him so well. Like he was one of my first like professional references that I actually put on my resume. Like when I was going from radio into TV, like Brian Wheeler was one of my personal references. That was like such an honor. Couldn't believe that he said yes when I asked him about it. And so like got to know him so well. 19 years as maybe even longer for the Blazers play-by-play. One of my favorite memories of Wheels was when at a Blazer home game, something happened where like things were going off the rails with the Blazers, and he was always very animated guy, and one time he slammed his fist onto the table so hard that the stat monitor came flying off and fell and hit me in the back. And it was so startling that I just kind of picked it up and got him back where he needed to go. But that's like how passionate he was when he called games. I am gutted at the fact that like his career was cut short. Obviously, like much has been made about his health issues and everything like that. Some of it perpetuated by the fact that, you know, he just had a terrible food addiction. And, you know, addiction is addiction no matter what that person latches onto. And it was something that he couldn't overcome and definitely like contributed to, you know, his death.
He was definitely more likable than the two Mikes.
Oh, I mean, like everyone, the Mikes are very polarizing. You know, I also spent a lot of time with those guys, but like,
Oh, fuck those guys.
Wheels was just like such a gracious person, and I'm like I said, I'm very devastated that was the news that we had. But I love that guy.
Did that happen while you guys were in Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, you know, you guys know this, and our listeners who, like, I get connected to broadcasters. Like, I love talking about broadcasting, and so that was just very much a bummer. I haven't really gotten a chance to talk about it at all, so.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. to Wheels. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have to say something, and I don't want to take away from Mr. Wheeler in any way.
Sure.
But when you started saying that, and I went, oh.
What do you think it was going to be?
Ben Herbert.
Oh, yeah. I know. That's another one. You know what?
So I was like, wait a second.
Let's also talk about Ben Herbstreit there.
Herbstreit.
yeah.
I said Herbert. My bad.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
That one also.
That video, that little tribute, and when Reese Davis brought it up while they were all sitting there, and Pat McAfee didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because Pat McAfee brings so much juice and fucking roided cocaine energy to every game day.
Yeah.
That when Reese Davis brought that up, he almost froze. Pat McAfee froze, and he's looking like he looked at Nick Saban, and he's like, I don't know what to do at this point. So it's like, you know, when you're put in the position of like a very sad news.
Yeah.
It's like this happened with one of our former friends when this was like a work retreat, and he started crying talking about his family, and I didn't know what to do sitting next to him, so I just put my hand on his back and I just started rubbing it. That's kind of how I pictured Pat McAfee. He was like, I don't know what to do, because Herbstreit started crying.
Yeah,
like he couldn't get words out.
Couldn't
He's
even
like,
talk.
and he just started crying, and nobody knew what to do.
Yeah. And I watched that a couple of times. Intoxicated, a terrible time to watch it. But.
Peter cried in an Uber.
Yeah, no joke. With all of the stuff that has happened over the past week.
You had a dog that looked just like Ben. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Ben
It was
Herbstreit.
the straw.
Yeah, that was. I mean, there was a
the
lot of
straw.
stuff that's happened in the last week that I have not been super excited about.
I did watch when I was watching that video. I was hugging my dog.
Yeah.
I was like, "You come over here, and fucking put him in the headlock."
So all this stress, and obviously like the support of my wife and everything, you know, this past week too. I'm in an Uber from my hotel because I went to Virginia a day early to do some work stuff. I'm in the Uber when I see the news about Ben Herbstreit, and I see his, you know, Kirk's testimonial to him and everything. And like Ben was like his version of my Hank. You know, like for those day oneers on this, like who have seen Hank in and out of this, like that was his Hank. And so like I felt so connected to that. And, you know, with all the stress that has happened in the last week, I'm driving there and I see that news. Random guy driving me there, and I just am like trying to like not uncontrollably sob in the back of an Uber, and I was like, "This is too much."
Sir, can you turn on Melissa McLaughlin? Whatever her name
Sarah.
is.
Oh, you can't get names correct.
Dude.
Alyssa McLaughlin is a porn star, dude.
Is she?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have been fun.
I mean, I definitely won't search her later.
Yeah. Can you turn on some Melissa? Oh, yeah, you're right.
You're like, good timing. Yep.
Yeah. Dialed
Couldn't
up
agree
right
more,
there.
sir.
My
Fucking
favorite.
screen props down.
So.
Yeah, here you go.
But
Lotion
you know what?
pops up.
You're talking about like everything dims. There's a freaking disco ball. Everything turns velvet.
He lends his hand. It's pretty soft. Let me yank one out for you.
Yeah. You're talking about people who didn't know what to do, but like Lee Corso was applauded for what he did, which, you know, that connection between Kirk and Lee Corso, this like very father-son type of relationship, and just like the empathy that you could see that Lee had for Kirk in that moment was just like so cool to see.
It was best that he was sitting next to him.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like if he sat next to McAfee or like Saban, he'd have been.
Yeah. And how
know.
amazing, like I know that Lee Corso has been dealing with some health stuff too, that like he was able to be there in that moment. So really cool.
I feel like when Lee Corso was younger, I had kind of an annoyance with him.
Sure, yeah.
But now I don't know, maybe because I've recognized how much of like a pillar he is in the college football community. I've now when I see him, I get pumped.
Yeah.
I used to get him and Lou
You're like,
Holtz
he's
mixed
still
up.
alive.
I used to get him and Lou Holtz mixed up.
Really?
Then I realized that like I just base it off of who I like more, and I've always liked Lee Corso more than I've liked Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
But I used to get them mixed up for some reason, like starting to watch college football.
Well, you can
beginning.
understand Lee more of the time. That's for sure.
Yeah. Maybe Kirk can help himself feel better. His new dog, by the way, which he brought on the road, some people were like, whoa, Kirk, like real early to start bringing another
No, he's
dog.
he's had it.
He's had that dog.
Yeah.
You know the dog's name?
No.
Peter.
Beat it.
The dog's name is Peter.
Is it really?
It is, yeah. It's a little odd for like a dog name. I've never
I love
seen.
that his dogs' names are Ben and Peter, though.
No,
I love
think Peter's a
I
great
love
dog name.
real
Yeah.
human names on dogs.
Pete.
Also, another thing too, the fact that this that you guys have not started calling me Saltpeter is your fault, and someone who I knew for like 48 hours came up with Saltpeter as a nickname.
I don't get it.
It's-
All right,
I mean,
whatever.
yeah, that's just putting two words together.
But
it's not really a
Saltpeter
nickname.
is like a chemical. But also, I like putting salt on things. Salt.
So-
You don't say. Yeah, I didn't know that.
You just were around the one person who knows what saltpeter the chemical is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a chemical.
I don't think saltpeter is better than anything we've come up with. Slimy Pete, Sleepy Pete.
Big cilantro.
Yeah,
Texas Pete.
It's not better than any of those.
Salt.
Props to him for knowing chemistry.
Yeah.
Cool.
Salt
Okay,
is
Walter
fucking
White.
loser.
Yeah, potassium nitrate.
Were you with Jesse Pinkman?
Yeah, what is saltpeter used for? Used to soften food and reduce cooking time when boiling beans or tough meat. There you go, saltpeter. Well, Kirk maybe can treat himself to something. Perhaps a sausage. Have you guys seen?
Perhaps.
Have you guys seen the latest fail on Wheel of Fortune?
No.
This is the latest one for you.
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
Treat yourself a round of sausage.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Okay.
I'd like
Give
salt.
yourself a round of applause.
Was that Seacrest?
Yeah, Seacrest is on it now. Give yourself,
Where did you get treat and sausage
treat
from?
yourself a round of sausage. No. And the funny thing is, here,
Do you not vet Wheel of Fortune contestants anymore?
I feel like it's
Jesus.
American Idol where they're like, okay, this guy is funny, we'll let you through.
yeah, listen to this guy right after he solves it.
Treat yourself a round of sausage.
I'm sorry.
No, just immediately says that's not right to him. Oh no,
That absolutely beats the H-less and all the other ones.
mythical creature H-less.
It's less about him being dumb enough to not count the tiles. It's the phrase. Treat yourself a round of sausage. That is one of the
Well, in the
greatest
last
phrases
word-
I've ever
The
heard.
last word, it showed the first letter was an A.
It was an A. Give yourself a round of applause to you for your terrible
He probably
guess.
thought sausage was New Haven style, like a sausage,
a sausage.
a pizza, a sausage.
Yeah, so anyways.
He should have argued that. We're Italian.
Judges, can you look that up?
Oh.
Hey. So.
Wow.
What do you guys think of that good old #1 Oregon Ducks performance against the Maryland Terps?
They didn't cover.
Didn't cover.
Didn't cover.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that, like, as you know, while we were a little bit fragmented in our ability to see as much of the game. A lot of the sentiment is like, despite the, I'm not going to call it a dominant win, but I mean, it was a win. It wasn't not close to a loss. Is that like these guys are going to get their ass ripped when they get to practice on Monday because of all of the opportunities lost.
Yeah.
From a turn, like from a penalty perspective, from just like a pace of game perspective.
You guys also got to experience watching sports in the East Coast,
Yeah.
which sucks.
It was not
It
great.
was tough.
NFL Sunday sucked.
Yeah. We did get.
I went to sleep in the middle, at like the second quarter.
But there was
Sunday night
also
football.
a really good college football game that kicked off at 7:30, which was BYU Utah.
Yeah, I didn't make it through it.
And that kicked off at 10:30 for you guys.
Yeah.
And that was over at 2
I watched
a.m.
all of that.
You got through it.
Yeah.
I ended up going to bed probably second half sometime, but I didn't.
But
get
yeah,
through it.
fucking terrible.
We did at least get the Germany game at 9:30 in the
that
morning.
was nice, but I'm not going to take
You
that.
get one.
And it was like the fucking Panthers.
It was the
Panthers
Panthers and
Giants.
Yeah.
What a great game.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, do I bet on this? And I was like worried that like DraftKings would be like, gambling's a serious problem if I'm like trying to actually put money on this game. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to bet on
Yeah.
this game?
East Coast setup for
1-800
sports is
gambler.
garbage, dude. That's fucking garbage.
But okay, so Oregon wins, wasn't dominant, but
I think
it's similar to like the Boise State game a little bit, right? Where
Yeah.
you can take some lessons from it possibly, but
Absolutely. And they definitely should because, at this point in the season, you need to be stepping on throats. You can't come into any week with any like, oh, we're overlooking this team. We're going to be just fine if we go 75%. That's not how this should go, which I feel like I don't think I got like major vibes of that, but like I feel like they were just a little too loosey-goosey.
yeah.
You
in
know?
a game where you were supposed to win by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
And it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
I think the real argument right now is less about games in college, but who's leading Heisman. Because Cam Ward just kind of took himself out of it with that Miami loss.
Yeah.
So now it's between Dylan Gabriel, who just broke the record for
Most touchdowns.
Most
Case
touchdowns.
Keenum, right? Yeah.
But, and this is less about Oregon hate, but more about who's really deserving, because I also don't agree with the NFL MVP always going to a quarterback.
Yeah.
Why does the Heisman always have to go to a quarterback? The thing is, the quarterback has the ball most of the time. So you either make the most of your opportunity or you fuck up your own opportunity. But if another position is making a case for it, I don't necessarily agree that Travis Hunter should win the Heisman. Because I think we forget the definition of the MVP and the Heisman. Like, your team cannot function without you.
I mean, and to me, I look at Ashton Genty, another 200-yard performance.
Ashton Genty should run away with the fucking Heisman.
Yeah. Their team is in the top they're in the college football playoff because of him.
I think you can make an argument to measure college football rankings, playoff rankings based on quality of wins, right? This is the schedule that's put in front of you. A Heisman or MVP definition means your team cannot run you're the engine of that team.
Yeah, Ashton Genty
Without
exemplifies
him,
that.
Yeah.
Boise State would not be a one-loss team. I don't give a fuck if they've only played Nevada or San Diego State. The dude has 1,800 yards.
It's crazy.
And 23 fucking touchdowns, dude, and 7 200-yard plus games with 4 games left. He is way past Derrick Henry. I understand he played in the SEC, right? He is way past Derrick Henry with numbers when Derrick Henry won the Heisman. But you could also say that Ashton Genty is going into games where the sole focus is on him, but he's still putting up those numbers.
And not some games. Every single game, that other team is saying all we have to
Just
do
stop him.
is stop him, and they can't. And also, to his credit, one of those games that he performed so well was against
Oregon,
the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
So even as an Oregon fan, I would love to see Dylan Gabriel win. That's awesome. But I at this point, if I'm putting in a vote, I would vote for Genty for sure.
The thing with the main reason I wouldn't agree with Dylan Gabriel winning the Heisman has nothing to do with Oregon hate, but he would win it based solely on breaking that record.
Yeah, and being a quarterback.
But he hasn't put up better numbers than Mariota did when he won it. Mariota completely dominated across the stat sheet when he won the Heisman. I don't think you should give the Heisman because somebody broke one record.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Ashton Genty is so deserving of this fucking win, and it should go to a running back again because the last one was Henry in 2017?
Yeah, at least.
Sure. Yeah.
It was Henry and then Ingram.
Yeah.
And it was 2014 and then 2017.
He is right now at 1,734 yards, 7.7 yards per carry, 23 touchdowns. The most rushing yards so far in college football. Barry Sanders, obviously 2,600 yards back in 1988. Melvin Gordon, 2014, he had 2,500 yards. Kevin Smith, Marcus Allen, those guys right around 2,500 yards. Could you see Ashton Genty getting there in the next 4?
Well, leading up to the Nevada game on Saturday, he was at 1,525 yards and 20 touchdowns scored.
Yeah.
The parameters were, if he gets to 2,025 touchdowns, he should run away with this award.
Yeah.
In the Nevada game, he gains 230 yards or 206 yards or whatever, plus receiving.
He can bring up his game log.
And 3 touchdowns. I don't like when people complain about certain things like Russell Westbrook stat padding for triple doubles, LeBron James stat padding for triple doubles, Giannis, I don't give a shit if you try to set up stat padding. These aren't easy things to accomplish.
Right, yeah.
Your entire team, the whole other team could set up to give you those stats. You still have to do it. You still have to accomplish it.
You still have to do the thing, yeah.
And by the way, this passion comes from the fact that I have a fucking huge bet on Ashton Genty winning the Heisman.
Oh, is that right? Is that parlayed or something?
Yeah. I need him to win. All right?
I mean, to wrap this up, it would be an absolute shame. Really. I mean, obviously, unless he has a huge fall off in these next, 4 weeks?
There's 4 games left, and he needs to accomplish 25 touchdowns and 2,000 yards. He's 200 yards away and 2 touchdowns away. He'll probably finish at 2,500 and near 30 touchdowns.
Right.
You cannot not give it to him if he gets those numbers. That's fucking crazy.
Right now, he, according to FanDuel, he has the 3rd best odds. He jumped from plus 500 to plus 350. Do you want to guess the other 2 ahead of him?
I would guess it's Dylan and Travis.
That is correct. Travis Hunter at plus 120. He was previously 220. And then Dylan Gabriel, according to FanDuel, at plus 320. But, again... Travis Hunter and how Colorado has played this year exceeded, obviously, my expectations and, shut a lot of other people up, too, in the process. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is a projected top 1 quarterback in this year's NFL draft.
Going to the Browns, baby. Woo!
So you've got that to work with, too. It is interesting, too. When you look up and down the college football rankings are out once again. Oregon number 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4, with Indiana, BYU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Miami, and
How far
Alabama.
did Georgia drop?
Georgia now,
12.
This is
right?
what's so crazy. They're number 12. Yeah, you have Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia 10, 11, 12 in your college football rankings. So the last team in, believe it or not, is Georgia.
That Georgia, was it Georgia Ole Miss game?
Yeah.
That said volumes. It was less about Georgia being inconsistent. That said volumes about Lane Kiffin as a fucking coach.
It did.
He picked them apart. Lane Kiffin is a really good fucking coach, dude. He picked them apart. The defense that he ran to pick apart Carson Beck, Georgia just could not catch up.
Yeah.
He's really fucking good.
And now we're seeing Lane Kiffin in the portal, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin was one of the most outspoken against the NIL, and then I think swore it off, at least for the first year or so, year two. But now he very much, all of his best players are obviously from the portal.
Because he's dating a young girl.
And so
he's getting into it.
he very much has I think that's his daughter, by the way. Who you're thinking of?
Is he not? He's dating a younger girl.
I thought he was just married.
Yeah, I think
with
he's just married.
a hot daughter.
Oh, I hope he's not dating his daughter. But yeah, she's hot.
I'm pretty sure that's just his daughter. So, but yeah, just to kind of see this, and again, we think about the parity of college football at this point, and especially with now 18 teams in the Big Ten, the expansion of the SEC as well. We just see, Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia at the tail end of the college football rankings, with
Notre Dame in
Indiana,
the 12?
BYU in the middle of that.
Is Notre Dame in the 12?
Notre Dame is number 8.
How is this being treated as far as a bracket? How much time do you have in between games? So when you play a game and you win that matchup,
a week.
It's just a week.
You have a week.
But then there's the first round bye. So then, the top 4 teams have the first round bye. So they're off for 2 weeks, and then each will
And then
will
also
play.
to the national championship. I think there's
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, from the first round, semifinals, or quarterfinal semis is a week each, and then there'll be 2 weeks between the national championship.
Man, you get cold 2 weeks.
It's kind of tough. I mean, it depends on
Rest or rust.
where you feel, and especially Oregon right now. Absence of Tez Johnson maybe was felt a little bit in this game versus Maryland, but
It's probably for the best.
yeah. So I mean, as it would stand now, you would have Boise State playing Ohio State in the 5-12. Then you'd have Tennessee, Notre Dame in the 8-9, Penn State versus Ole Miss in the 6-11, and Indiana versus Alabama in the 7-10.
Gosh.
How mad would you be? It's what's the number one? What's wide receiver 1 right now? Sheldon for Oregon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon. How mad would you be if Dan Lanning really pulled a Dan Campbell and was like, "We're playing Georgia in the national championship. We're the underdogs. We fucking hate Georgia," and Sheldon spits on someone mid-game and gets kicked off.
Once again, we don't need any more spitting. Jesus.
Oh my god!
Keep it in your mouth.
Well,
If that happened in the middle at halftime, I'm renting out Dave and Buster's.
there is a really unfortunate incident that happened, and I don't even know this guy's name, but it kind of sucks that it happens. That Ole Miss upsets Georgia. Storming of the field happens, all this stuff, and there is a player on Georgia who is seen celebrating with people in Ole Miss gear, jumping up and down. The sky cam comes across, and there's everyone's, and here's this Georgia player who is celebrating, supposedly, with people in Ole Miss gear. As the story goes, we're close family friends, and they happen to be Ole Miss boosters. They know each other from back when, whatever. He was surprised to see them. It was just a terrible happenstance, a terrible timing for this guy.
Yeah.
That all that. And what's sad too is that it's bad optics, all this other stuff, but there's so many bad things that people don't apologize for in sports, and this is the thing that we're latching onto.
Yeah.
And of course it's causing Kirby Smart to have to be call this player an idiot and say he feels bad for him and everything. This kid has to post a notes app apology or whatever, and it's just unfortunate.
Dumb.
Time,
Yeah, but think about the double standard there. Granted, it is a powerhouse program where optics doesn't bode well when you do shit like that, because it's Georgia. It's laser focused on everything that you do as an athlete. But he has to apologize. Fans never have to fucking apologize for throwing shit in the Colorado game. Texas Tech shit fans throwing fucking
tortillas,
full water bottles and all that shit because Colorado's hated. Who gives a shit about Prime and Shador and Travis Hunter? They deserve that. These fucking pieces of shit don't have to apologize for it because they're fans, because they pay your NIL salary, so they get to do whatever the fuck they want.
I didn't realize that the tortilla thing was a thing. This isn't new. You guys know this? And I forget who made it popular, but the throwing of tortillas, I don't necessarily know if people like threw it onto the field versus like having it and waving it like a terrible
They
towel.
threw it on the field, and then Travis Hunter put it in his nutsack.
Right. I'm just saying that like in the past, I didn't know if people were throwing it versus just keeping it and waving it around. Obviously, them throwing it on the field, awful. You get the coach like yelling at people to stop it. But it was either a broadcaster or a former coach, and this was like decades ago, was talking about how, where Tech is located, which I don't even remember, Lubbock or something like that. Where like
Tech is in Lubbock.
Yeah, the only thing that they're known for is the tortilla factory that was in town. And so people latched on to the tortilla thing. It says, oh, yeah, we're only known for being the tortilla factory. So people brought that, and it's like...
It's like how most towels are made in Pittsburgh.
Sure. Is that actually why, or are you fucking with me? See, that's the thing.
I could have.
I know that steel is.
I could have written that, and you would have believed it.
I know that
I would have
steel
told
is.
everybody I know.
Did you know all towels? They got rid of the steel.
You ever
They
heard
brought
of
in
the
the
terrible
cotton.
towel?
Yeah.
You know why?
Your kid's 18, and he breaks the news to you. Towels aren't made in Pittsburgh.
Idiot.
Are you serious?
There's so many things that.
The towel industry is booming in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, post steel industry.
when you
Someone
melt-
had to come in and make something.
When you melt the steel, it turns into a bath towel. Did you not know that?
Yeah, did you know that
It's science,
steel
bitch.
is just compressed cotton? My God. But anyways, what do you guys...
Maybe saltpeter turns into a towel.
Screw you. The other thing that people are prognosticating about, especially now that you see Ole Miss and Georgia and Alabama kind of towards the tail end of this, is like, could a 3-loss SEC team get into the college football playoff?
That's the only thing
And
I wouldn't
why
agree
it
with.
Makes sense.
I don't think there should be I don't care what program you are. There should not be a 3-loss team in the top 12 of college football unless they don't have a choice.
Sure. So let me
unless they're a conference champion.
So let me agree with that. Let me present the counter argument, which is what some people are talking about. Since the origination of the college football playoff post BCS, there have been 13 occasions within these several years where the top 12 had a 3-loss team in the top 12, indicating that there will be years where a 3-loss team is good enough to be in the top 12. Just this year, one of the college football playoff has expanded into the top 12. So, I mean, it's like there is precedent. It's just like it hasn't happened in the world of there being 12-team playoffs.
Here's what's unfair with this whole strength of schedule thing. If you're a mediocre to a below mediocre team, we're talking about the Nevadas or the Boise States of the world, and like even Texas Tech. These schedules are done years in advance, right? Powerhouse teams have to agree to spend money to give to you to play you. So I don't agree with average teams getting penalized for playing the schedule that they play and winning out.
Yeah, I guess like the only like rebuttal is that with the SEC and Big Ten expanding, with the Pac-12 dissolving, it did change up a lot of scheduling. I don't know to what extent.
One season example, but this has been happening for decades.
Sure, yeah.
But if you're a top team, you do have the option to control your schedule because you have the money. So if you're a top team and you're playing cupcake fucking schedules, that's on you. Yeah. You deserve to get penalized for that, for beating Mercer and beating Furman and Troy and all that, and think you're going to skate your way to a fucking national title game.
So for instance, if this was the final rankings, and you had your first team out being Boise State, and your last teams in being Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia. How do you guys feel about that, where you're bookending the 3 SECs with a 1-loss Boise State?
With the way that the playoff works, the first team out would actually be Georgia.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Because it's not like they just take straight up the top 12.
Oh, sure. Right, because you have
conference winners.
You get the top. Yeah, you get those.
The at-large and So with the current structure, if it were to happen today, Georgia would actually be the first team out.
Yeah, but the reason they won't be is because it's a tiered structure. So you go from conference champions and then strength of schedule. So they're going to boot out Boise State even though they're a one-loss team.
Right.
Because Georgia...
But they're going to win their conference.
Right, and so that's your point. I forgot about that detail about conference winners and everything like that. So, but say, I guess
hypothetically,
hypothetically,
but I would be fucking pissed.
yeah,
you've seen them. They did that to Florida State.
But that's why we have the 12-team playoff, is to avoid that.
within the four.
But
this
has been my point this entire time.
4-round buys.
From the 4-team playoff to a 12-team playoff. This won't change. Just because they fucked over the 4th team in Florida State in that case last season, the same thing is going to happen with 12 and 13.
Yeah,
They're going to find I'm just saying that Boise State is a bad example to use because they will be the conference
because
champion.
right now your first-round buys are Oregon, Texas, BYU, and Miami, despite the fact that your top 4 are Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State.
It would be like booting out at 1 or 2 loss Indiana for a 3-loss Georgia.
The same problems will happen. We just have more teams.
Yeah.
The same problems will absolutely happen.
So, and then kind of knocking on the doorstep, you've got SMU, Texas A&M, Kansas State, Colorado, Washington State, Louisville, Clemson is your top 20. So.
A&M will find their way out of that top 12.
Probably, yeah. But I'm super curious to see how things ultimately shake out.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Whoever said that the 12-team playoff was a bad idea, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because it makes so many more games relevant.
Yes.
Makes so many games more interesting.
And it's funny because that was the opposite argument was what a lot of people were saying. Is like, oh, you're going to take away relevancy from some of these regular season games. It's like, no, that has not happened at all.
I think that it creates more intrigue all season long. Maybe the bowl games still turn out to maybe not be as fun, but now you have a legitimate quarterfinal to finals.
A 12-team playoff is not a bad idea at all. It's great for the fans. It's just we're going to get the same problems. We just have more games. That's all it is. The same problems will arise from the BCS, from the 4-team playoff, from 6, from 8, from 12. The same issues will come up.
Yeah, there's always going to be somebody pissed off.
It doesn't matter if we do a 50-team fucking playoff. The same issues will come up. It's just better for us. We get to watch more relevant games.
Well, what about the first-round bye situation? I feel like that's going to become kind of an issue because you see Miami, yes, they lose, their first game, but then, they're still in the top 4. They would still get a first-round bye. When it comes to that, then versus like a team that might come in hot, then all of a sudden they go, well, we're in the SEC and blah, 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 and now we still have to play this gauntlet of games. I could definitely see that top 4 being a bit of contention with that first-round bye. It's like, well, okay.
I think it makes it easier that all of those teams, like there's a conference playoff or a conference championship.
Sure,
excuse me.
yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier to be like, hey, if you're in that conference championship game and you win, you get that spot.
Sure, I get that.
It just creates more chances. Now you still have a chance to win the national championship as a 2-loss team. Georgia's season isn't over. Yeah. Alabama's season isn't over. But we'll see how they perform when it's a bracket style because, even though you have a week, the games are a week apart, you have a week of... You're basically extending that season, and now you're having to prepare for a lot better teams.
Yeah.
No, I personally think when it comes to the playoffs, the teams that are well coached are going to perform better because when you're coaching a football team, especially at that level in college NFL, obviously during a 18-week schedule, week 1 you're preparing for your week 1 opponent. However, you're going to mix in strategies that will also apply and kind of make a fluid transition into week 2, week 3, because those opponents.
Yeah.
You might get into a scenario where, if you don't have a good coach who can kind of turn on a dime and implement the right strategies that are, going to work for that opponent that's 4 days, 5 days ahead of you, that's going to be a difficult situation.
For sure. I also like the idea of us not having to wait a month nearly to like see those teams that are the best ones, right? Maybe
Agreed.
you get like a week off here and you don't see these guys, but just like the opportunity, and we've seen this constantly with even in these like semifinal games where you just go, wow, that team, you wish you could have actually seen them just a week after the season ended because these guys look rusty, they look slow, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that how
Obviously,
it's
like,
structured now? So do we no longer have a month-long break? So when this
Yeah, not
playoff
at all.
starts, the most we're going to have is 2 weeks from...
Yeah, I think it's conference championships, and then there's 2 weeks, and then...
So does this extend
Starts.
closer to the fucking Super Bowl when it ends?
Yeah, so the first round is going to be on December 20th. So you're going to get there'll be 2 weeks off. And then you go into quarters on New Year's Eve. Semis are going to be when the college football championship would have been, and then the national championships is going to be on January 20th. So the season's extended effectively.
So we have the national championship for college mid to late January, and then 2-3 weeks later we have the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And
So you're going to have NFL and NCAA playoff games on the same weekend. It'll be like Friday, Saturday, NCAA, Sunday, wild card round.
yeah,
It's a great setup for us.
definitely.
As a
1000%.
viewer, this is primo.
Yeah. And, in those couple of weeks, too, we'll likely still get some good bowl games there, too. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait a whole month to get, like, the 2 games that you were hoping to get,
Yeah.
and then who knows if they're ever going to be good.
And I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy, outside of, like, the teams that, they'll sit their entire starting, offense, defense because people transfer and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the kind of fanfare of bowl games.
I mean, that's slowly falling off, and I feel like it's only going to get worse because
do?
now that there's a playoff, the bowl games feel like NIT. You don't make the March Madness, now you're fucking playing for NIT.
That's a good
There's
point.
less motivation to like, oh, we didn't make the top 12, and now we're playing a fucking NIT tournament.
But then
Like,
on
who
the
gives
flip,
a shit?
but then on the flip side, last year we saw the possibility of having a, Florida State Georgia game that would have been incredible had guys decided
didn't give
that
a
they
shit.
wanted to play. Yeah, they didn't care. So like on the flip side, there's going to be more of the best teams playing, and so
and they're not going to give a shit.
no, that's not true. I mean,
No,
like
in the
when
playoff.
they're in the playoff.
Oh, in
that's
the,
what I'm
in the
saying.
I think-
playoffs. I'm saying the people that don't make the playoffs.
It gives the 5-6s.
It's worse.
It gives
But there's, I kind of get what you're saying, Pete, because the teams that are 13 or worse, especially the ones that are probably like 20 or worse, like the bowl games are going to mean more to those programs and those players. So I think you're going to have a higher percentage of or players that are playing in those games for
Yeah,
those
I
lower
think
seeded
so.
teams.
Yeah, I think that I think it filters everything in a good way.
We'll see.
And then if you get like a top 20 guy who decides that he doesn't want to play, darn,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not like as upset, but like we know this. We talked about it last year. Like I was pissed that Florida State just refused to play their guys.
Yeah.
They just threw it in and they got their ass handed to them. And now Mike Norvell is firing all of his coordinators, and I thought you were just like startled. You just had a bug in your eye. Mike Norvell did what?
You kidding me?
he fired his coordinators?
Also, let's be honest, if we were watching a bowl game with any team 13 or lower, we probably wouldn't recognize if there was
Not
a player
lot.
missing.
Yeah, I mean, like, if Colorado is kind of in that top 20 range, maybe, but outside of that, who knows? Those fuckers might find their way. into
Who
the
knows
friggin'
if they keep winning?
Oh my!
I mean, if
gosh.
they all they got to do is beat BYU at the end.
Yeah, it's true.
BYU got lucky in that.
Yeah, they
Utah
sure
game.
did.
Yeah.
They sure did. They sure did. Let's see. So, speaking of firing, the Bears, they fired someone.
Their OC,
Not the real problem.
not
Another.
Eberflus, but they found a way to point the finger at somebody else.
Shane Waldron, pride of
before.
LaSalle High School, actually.
How's that make you feel?
Not great, Jim. Yeah, so Matt, and that's the thing. This is the first time, no joke. I saw this stat. It's the first time that the Bears have made a change at offensive coordinator during midseason since 1970.
Yeah, they've never fired a head coach during the season.
It's wild. Lost the last 3 games. They've scored just 27 total points, averaging just 277 yards per game. That's third lowest in the NFL. Shane Waldron gone. Kind of make it seem like, hey, Matt Eberflus is going to be there for the rest of the year.
That's what I'm saying. They've literally
they just don't do it. Yeah.
They don't do that.
The funny thing is they make history by doing it for the first time. They still got it wrong. How is he the problem before Eberflus?
He's not, and that's the thing. And then what a lot of people are crushing Eberflus on is just like, this guy just totally misses the point. He didn't even fire the right problem, you know? And the thing is that, like, there was a lot of criticism going into this year about, like, the lack of offensive coaching experience or coaching experience on the offense. And so, you take away a guy who's already been an offensive coordinator for 3 years. He was probably the guy who had the most experience on the offense.
Yeah.
So he just missed the mark even when he fired. Anyways, I guess you have to, like, make some sort of, like, sacrificial decision anyways. Do you think that Matt, so their final game of the year, the Bears, is against the Packers at Lambeau Field.
Of course.
Does he make it back to Chicago from Wisconsin? It was probably like an hour flight.
Yeah. They're not
with his job.
They're not going to fire another coach this season.
No. I'm saying his last game. So, like, will he even make it an hour after he loses before he's fired? Like, how quickly will they make that decision?
I see them fire. If they do fire him, they're firing him in the offseason.
They're definitely going to fire him.
I'm saying within the hour of the start of
Not within the hour.
No.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
If he's on the plane and be like, hey, will you come to row 34? We need to have a talk.
You can go ahead and just drive home. Yeah. Just Uber home. It'll be fine.
Who was the coach they left? Was it like USC? Was it Lane Kiffin?
It was Sark. Oh, no. Maybe it was Lane.
No, Bergeron.
No, it wasn't Bergeron.
No, it wasn't.
The Bears' last coach?
No, USC.
I think it was Lane.
USC left the coach. He was fired. They didn't let him get on the bus.
It was Lane Kiffin.
Was he?
Yeah. It was Lane Kiffin. I remember writing that story for NBC.
Yeah, they left him on the tarmac.
Yeah. I remember I was covering an Oregon game that night, and I got back from Eugene. It was one of those 7:30 games, and then I saw the report, and I stayed up and I wrote the story for our website. That had happened. So
classless
shitties.
And the Bears are, they're not helping Caleb Williams up. It's just bad luck all around. The team looks just totally disinterested. Apparently there was a report that veterans want to make a change at quarterback. I don't know how much I believe that, but it is just, you finally do the thing. But we talked about this. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. We talked about it in the house. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Like, why bring Eberflus in when you knew that this was going to happen? If there is anyone who thought that, like, this wasn't going to be the outcome, you're insane.
Yeah. And I remember we talked
so written on the wall.
We talked at nauseum last year, leading up to the NFL draft, like, the talent that this Bears team has, so often it's easy to blame the Bears organization and the coaching and things like that because it's not great, not a good record of success. And you also can't put it on, Caleb Williams for being a rookie quarterback. So it's just, I think it's going to turn into this kind of vicious cycle of you guys, the Bears, get a rookie quarterback with a coach that should have been fired the year before, but you give him one more year. You keep him that 1 year, then you fire that guy, and now a new guy comes in who maybe doesn't like the rookie quarterback or the type of system doesn't work with the rookie
with Mariota.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it happened with
Mariota.
It happened with Trubisky. It happened with Fields.
Yeah,
it's the same fucking cycle.
You see it so much, yeah. And on the flip side is that you're seeing what the Washington Commanders did. They've got themselves a new quarterback that they brought in the right coordinator. It was a new regime. Everyone was coming. You hire the guys, and then you get to do the film study. You get their input. You get all of that. There's collective buy-in. There's all of that, right? That everyone goes like, this is our guy. We all agree on this.
Yeah.
Now, the Panthers seemingly had that. They had Frank Reich. They had Josh McCown. And everyone thought that they were going to take C.J. Stroud. And then David Tepper wanted to take Bryce Young. And then, obviously, those guys didn't seem bought in on Bryce Young. They last like less than a season, and then they're gone. So that can be also a problem as well. And so Caleb Williams, as we talked about, will not be set up for success, and he will have to be good in spite of everyone. And there's the possibility that just might not happen, and it's unfortunate. So
I think there's a part of it that's like, I understand everything you're saying, but there's a big part in playing these games where like things go your way. It's really easy to sit here and say a bunch of hindsight shit. Oh, the Commanders are doing it all right because they're winning. I mean, Bears roster on paper is better, but there was just not as much expectation. It's almost like everything you do that you do well is a bonus. We would be sitting here right now saying the same shit about the Commanders if they're 2-7. You know, like things have been going well for them. Like a lot of games have gone their way, and that hasn't been the case for Chicago. And I'm not trying to justify Chicago's record or what they're doing as an organization, because they are a dumpster fire the same way that Carolina is. But, you know, people that are talking sports, there's some luck involved in this.
100%.
There's a lot of luck involved in this. Jaden Daniels have had incredible games, and now everyone's like, I knew he was going to be good. I knew the Commanders. Do you not remember talking about the Commanders and how shitty of a fucking organization they were 2 years ago?
Sure.
Yeah, and they got new ownership, and now they've put themselves in a good position. And honestly, the point I'm trying to make is separate from the Commanders completely. Leave the Commanders out of it. It's simply the Bears have literally done this exact same thing to no avail, to no success for the last 3 quarterbacks that they've had, you know, top draft picks, gonna be the guy. They have failed time and time again. So yeah, without any comparison to the Commanders, it's sad to see in Chicago.
It says a lot about their organization with how they just don't value the quarterback position when their most successful quarterback outside of the 80s was Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and they treated him like shit too.
And you can't even say that he was a Hall of Famer or he fucking had Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady type of success there. He was the best one they had, and they treated him like shit. And then you've recycled Rex Grossman and Trubisky and all these guys. It's like, look what they did to Fields.
Yeah.
Look what they did to Lovie Smith after a 10-win season.
Yeah, I mean, even Matt Nagy, I think, was 9-7, and they got rid of him. I know that's not people seemingly think that he might be back with the Bears as a head coach now. He's had so much success there with as the offensive coordinator for
go
the
get
Chiefs.
fucking Vrabel or Belichick.
No, you need an offensive guy. You need Ben Johnson, and you need him fast. That's what you need.
That's not going to happen.
I mean, like, I was talking about this. It was like, is like a Ben Johnson, like, do allegiances exist where you have like a divisional rival, and would you go to that? But he's been waiting. Like, he's been waiting for the right, and he's said it publicly. This isn't like speculation. He's talking like, I'm going to go into a spot where like it feels right. And there were a lot of
Bears aren't going to be it.
You don't think so?
No.
All right.
No,
he doesn't look at Caleb Williams and said like, I can.
But that's the thing. Caleb Williams is the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah.
Everything above that is historically
bad. Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah. No, I agree. And to come back to your point about hindsight and everything, I think that both things can be true. I think that we can talk about the Commanders in hindsight and be like, oh yeah, look what they did. But I can also say that like what is happening with the Bears right now has been written on the wall, has been set in stone since the moment that they decided that Matt Eberflus decided to give him another year.
My only point is we came into the season with the Bears having DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift. If they were 7-2, we would not be saying this.
Well, no shit. That's
because there's a lot of luck involved in it. That has, like, I understand shit trickling down from the organization and from coaching and all that, but they've had at least 4 games where it was fucking unlucky.
Yeah.
It was extremely unlucky. Like, they just got beat by a shittier team at the last second.
And now look at it. I mean, like, they can't. They put up 3 points against the Patriots.
I'm not disagreeing with the fact that they are their own demise, but that's a 50-50 coin flip. And that is not something I will put on that dumpster fire of an organization.
Well, and that's where, and I think Braxton was talking about what good coaches do in that situation.
Yeah, because
they get their minds right and ready and just be like, all right, and then they're ready. But what we've seen is a progressively bad team week
because
in, week
if
out.
the same is true, because I agree, there's a lot of luck in the NFL. But look at a team.
Look at the Lions too with
look
their
at
kicking
the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they've been able to almost every game come back, win by a single score.
Benefit
in the first
from a lot of luck.
But that luck comes from a certain amount of preparation and a lot of good coaching.
Right, and a lot of people were talking about, was this luck what happened with the Chiefs and blocking that kick? And a lot of film study has been done, and McAfee did it on his show, and other people have done it too, where it's like the Chiefs were able to identify a weakness within the field goal unit, and were able to attack the capitalize off of it, and it wasn't a mistake. They just found something, the weakness in the line, the chink in the armor, if we're allowed to say that, and then that seems lucky. But when you do more film studies, like there was a lot that went into that. So that's all we're saying. And I think that the difference between a 50-50 and then getting your team right or whatever. Matt Eberflus hasn't been that guy to be able to do it. So, let's see. A couple other nuggets. Let's see. Dak's season is done. Cowboy season is done. He has a hamstring surgery that's going to keep him out for 3 months. Seemingly, they were talking about it being like a hockey injury or something like that. That a lot of hockey players get, and then they end up having surgery.
It's just a way to
lost a tooth.
It's just a way to justify how much he's getting paid, so he can't suck anymore.
Yeah, a lot of talk about how there were no curtains up in that game this past weekend.
I just thought it was so funny when the reporter was like, "Oh, CD said that maybe putting curtains up." He's like, "Yeah, why don't we tear down the whole stadium and build a new one?"
And it's like, Jerry, you actually have curtains. You just chose not to use them. Actually,
does that cost less? Or
you actually have them. You use them during concerts. You just chose not to use it in this game.
Yeah.
We know where the sun and the moon are going to be a year in advance.
It's
like, chill out, Jerry.
Then put up the curtains when you know the sun is going to be there. You dumbass.
Yeah. The irony, too, is that someone took a photo of Mike McCarthy's press conference. I think it was on Monday. And they put up a screen on a C-stand, which, you can attach, whatever to block out the sun from Mike McCarthy in the press room. It was just so ironic that they had that picture where it's like, so now you know how to shield people's eyes. That's crazy.
That team's not going to see any success unless Jerry's gone.
Well, he does seem to be getting more senile.
Constantly going to bring him. He's like that boss that you have where you're like, I want to see the company succeed, but he's just going to get in the way every time. He's the owner that hasn't been able to adapt.
What do you know about that?
Not much.
And then it'll be his kids to run it, and I wonder how that'll be. Hopefully, someone that
probably not that much better, but it's still gonna be better.
Oh, his son, Mike
Jones.
Mike Jones.
Proud of you for taking less than 5 seconds to catch on to that.
Mike Jones, yeah. A more hopeless team right now, the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Jets, both immediate and long term.
Cowboys, because they're not willing to let go of what clearly isn't working, but they're going to constantly ride it. The Jets will make more moves to try to improve, I feel like.
And they're closer to being out of the shit than what the Cowboys just did, which was reset, right? They reset Dak and they reset CD. and now you're attached to
And
that.
they have young players that are clearly in the top 5 of their position. The Cowboys they won't give up on Dak. They won't give up on certain players that is not going to do it for them.
Yeah. I mean, really all they have is CD and Micah.
Don't
But
forget
the
about
Cowboys-
Zeke and Dowdle.
The Cowboys used to at
I
least
will.
be able to depend on their defense. Diggs and Parsons are not doing anything.
Oh, yeah.
You think that's a product of their age or a product that Dan
I don't
Quinn
think it's
left?
their age. They're young. I think
Yeah,
it's
they're
a
both
product
real
of
young.
like the team isn't doing well. They have no motivation. They're all talking shit about each other.
Yeah.
They're all pointing fingers. When you don't have that culture of winning, then you're all going downhill.
Micah
Yeah.
Parsons been given a lot of shit recently for having his
He
podcast.
needs to stop talking.
So, shut up and dribble.
No, I just don't. That's you. You can't pass that on. I don't
I
agree.
was just trying it on. Just to try the boot on, see if it fits.
I don't agree with pro athletes having a podcast during the season.
Yeah.
Like that is either a retired athlete thing or off-season thing. I don't like athletes having like Chandler Parsons and Lou Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're ringing.
Brigham's calling.
Okay. You want to talk to Brigham?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I just feel like it should be a retired athlete thing. I don't think like Draymond should have a podcast in the
Right.
middle of the
Keep it out
season.
of the
I don't think
season.
Micah Parsons should have a podcast in the middle of the season. Focus on the season and do it after.
Sure.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to become something that's included in contract
Contracts,
negotiations.
I would, because your entire life revolves around what you're doing, which is playing this game. There's nothing else you're going to talk about but that, and that only brings in what you don't like.
There's always that like provision within like when you fine players for conduct detrimental to the team. And I wonder if, to your point, because you were talking about writing in the contract, someone said it, I can't remember.
Yeah.
That yeah, you just go like, hey, by having this, you potentially put our team at risk.
Yeah.
And that
Just-
if you have this, we'll just fine you every week.
And not even at risk, it's detrimental.
It is detrimental to the team.
And it's not even like a player could make an argument like it doesn't affect my play. That's fair.
yeah.
But it affects locker room environment. I also don't agree with Aaron Rodgers doing Pat McAfee
Max,
show
yeah.
every Tuesday.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the fucking season, dude. Like, focus. Don't be tweeting. Don't be doing this shit in the middle of the season. Finish out the season and then say whatever the fuck you want after
Yeah.
that.
For sure. We have common ground, boys. We found it. We found the common ground, and I love it.
You were really hoping for shut up and dribble. Like, I need people on my side to shut LeBron up.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I totally agree with you guys. Okay, so we saw Tua Monday Night Football, him throwing an interception and then lowering his head to try and make a tackle. At this point, like, if he doesn't care, should we care? Like,
No.
right? Like, do we just, like, have we written him off? Because I'm there. Like, I'm at that point, like I know that he threw the pick and it was inside the 20 and everything. But, man, like,
I understand.
let the touchdown.
I understand people's care for his well-being, but
But he doesn't care about his well-being.
no, I wouldn't go that far. That is such a Peter take. Like, saying that he doesn't care about his well-being is a stupid take.
I mean,
You've never played football. Have you ever been out on that field?
Okay, well,
He
let's
throws
not
a
do that.
No, because that is a real point. You think in the middle of a fucking game at the speed that they're playing in, his first thought is, what about my life 20 years from now?
I think that there are a lot of
he's
quarterbacks that
playing
did
a
that.
fucking
There's a
game,
lot of
dude.
guys, like Peyton Manning would be in the fetal position
but
every time
that's
he
not
threw an
Tua's
interception.
game.
Well,
That's
he's got to
not-
learn that game because
that's
he's
not
going to end up
Tua's game.
dying by the time he's 50.
And then if he dies, he dies, but he's playing the game at the
but
max
also-
level that he knows.
Miguel, I think we can both agree that there are certain points in the moment of playing football where it's like you made a mistake or you're trying to win a game or whatever, that you do lose all care for your well-being.
Yeah, Andrew Luck would try and
all
truck
you
the hell
want
out
to
of
do is stop that interception or whatever. So you do lose that care for your overall well-being. Of course, when he's at home with his kids, he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go shoot up heroin, whatever. Like, he obviously has that care for his well-being. But in the moment on the field when that type of shit happens, it does seem that he does not have a care for his well-being. He does not take the moment to think, hey, not a great decision to go make this tackle at full speed.
Yeah.
But when you're saying it, that's not how I'm interpreting it. You're saying it like for the future. Like I'm saying in the moment, yeah, I agree with that. But to say that he doesn't care about his life, I'm interpreting you saying that as like your future
Overall.
after football.
Yeah.
Which is
Overall.
not true. To say that he doesn't care about that is fucking dumb.
I think that there is some misinterpretation about my veil comment there.
Because you have bad sports takes, so I can't help
But but I think that like in that situation, you have to rely on other people to do that. And if you end up giving the points up, and it was like right at the sideline too. Anyways, again, hindsight. But there have been plenty of players who have extended their careers by staying out of it.
Yeah, and to that point, because I agree. I think that you know when it comes to being a football player, you're an entertainer. You're obviously there to make a good amount of money, and you do need to learn that like, hey, this isn't my responsibility. Being able to control the emotional side of it, where your heart and your head is telling you, I don't give a fuck. I just threw a pick. I need to go fucking cream this guy because I'm angry about the mistake I made.
Yeah.
To be able to take that breath and be like, you know what? I'm going to head to the sideline, keep myself safe because that's what's going to be better for my team.
I'm going to get them
long term
on the next drive. That's going to be me making up for it.
Yes.
I just think different players approach the game differently. You have the Peyton Mannings of the world where they could think like that, but then Tua doesn't play like that. The same way that fucking Janikowski doesn't play like that. That Lawrence Taylor doesn't play like that. It's like, I'm not thinking about extending my career. I'm just thinking about the game in front of me at all times.
Yeah, but arguably, the players who do that, like the Tom Bradys, like the Peyton Mannings of the world, we're talking about some of the greatest players in the game. If you want to, and Lawrence Taylor, obviously also one of the greater players in the game, but being on defense, I think, is a little bit hard to compare. But again, you know, if you want to be like a Peyton Manning, Tom Brady type, it might be a smart decision to have those second thoughts or that pause instead of going headfirst into somebody's thigh.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't have those thoughts. Maybe he doesn't want to become Peyton Manning.
And that's a concern. That's a concern.
What thoughts does he have? Let's see.
Giving us the best show he can give us.
Any
on
other
the field.
thoughts on this past weekend? Obviously, my Chargers now 6-3 with
Browns still suck.
Yep, they sure do.
I love that the My Chargers came back as soon as they started winning.
They're 6-3 now.
This
right?
is not bandwagon at all.
Chargers have looked good too, and I've loved to see them, especially because all of our debates and arguments over the years, where it's like, oh, Justin Herbert isn't that good. He's only being carried by the team around him. And then we have a team like they have this year where they don't have anywhere near the talent that they've had. He kind of takes a more of a backseat role, not having to play hero all the time.
Yeah.
And you have all these crazy statistical games, and they're actually better.
I mean, it's reminiscent of what was happening in Michigan as well with, J.J. McCarthy as well, just
But
him as a quarterback.
That absolutely contributes to my point this entire time for the last 2 seasons. Tom Brady was not regarded for 400, 500 yards passing every game. He just had a winning team. And that's, I feel like you've always judged the quarterback for how far they take their team, not throwing 4 touchdowns or being a leader in these certain statistical numbers. And that's been my point with Allen. That's been my point with Herbert. It's winning. That's how the Peyton Mannings and the Bradys of the world have always been judged.
Yeah, and my point is now Herbert has showed you not only the high statistics, but also what you just mentioned.
If they go, like, I'm not talking about having a winning season. I'm talking success in the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I get
that when you are
everybody sucks till they win a championship.
That's true. That's the goal. I mean, you can argue about that all you fucking want, but that is the ultimate goal of everything that we talk about.
Yeah, I understand that.
So when you are putting certain quarterbacks in the pedestal of like this is how great they are, it's hard for me to agree until you've accomplished who we're comparing them to.
Yeah, I'm just you can be a great position player without winning a Super Bowl. The greatest of all the time, then yeah, you definitely need that pedigree. But again, I think that it's nice to see the Josh Allens, the Herberts, especially this season, kind of nestle into that to show that they can play that position of like, hey, I'm going to play to, I don't have to be the A1 guy who saves the day every time.
And I'm not being unfair and saying you just have to win a Super Bowl, but consistent winning seasons, consistent playoff seasons is what adds to that completely dominating the stat sheet. But those guys have not had that. That's why I've always been against putting them in that ranking. They've not had that. If we're talking Josh Allen and Justin Herbert coming like just falling short of the Super Bowl, but they're always in the playoffs, they're always giving the other teams a run for their money, and they have the stats to back it up, then fuck yeah, they're there. They're top 5.
I mean, Josh Allen arguably has done that.
I don't think he's done that enough.
All right.
Just not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah. Big Thursday night football game coming up this week between the Commanders and the Eagles. Eagles, the home team there. So that should be a very good Thursday night game. And then
Jalen Hurts has been throwing some dimes.
He's been really good.
Fucking dimes.
Bears, Packers, a lot of, let's see, we've got, let's look at some, Ravens, Steelers should also be a very good game. Seahawks, 49ers divisional game with Christian McCaffrey back. Seahawks seem to be spiraling at this point, not terribly surprising. Bills and Chiefs. And then Bengals Chargers are going to be your premier
I feel bad for the
games,
Bengals. That Ravens-Bengals game, like, no one deserved to lose that game. It sucks that someone had to.
Right.
But, man, Burrow and the crew played fucking incredible just to lose.
Do you think that this is the week that the Chiefs, because the Chiefs the last couple of weeks have shown that they are ready to lose, and they just haven't. Bills at home, 8-2. Buffalo, a 2.5-point favorite. What do we think there? Or do we
Buffalo's
take the Bills
a 2.5-point favorite in Buffalo?
In Buffalo, yeah. So
I mean, I would definitely take Buffalo.
How could you take? How could you, like, bet against the Chiefs when they constantly find these, like, they win with just Travis Kelce, and then they lose Rice and they lose Pacheco, and then somehow this DeAndre Hopkins guy that we've known for a while is having a monster last 2 games. It's like they always find somebody to not just step up, like the next man up conversation, but they step up in a huge way for them. They become all of a sudden like the DeAndre Hopkins of the Texans, where he is having monster games. Like, we've been saying this for how many fucking seasons, until they've proven that they can't do it. It's hard.
I do think that the Bills win this game. I don't think this affects the Chiefs in the long run at all.
It doesn't affect either,
Yeah.
I think. And I think that it's just kind of one of those, I think it's a perfect game for the Chiefs to lose, so then you get into the playoffs. Should they meet in the AFC Championship game, then it becomes this whole rematch situation where,
for sure,
do the Bills have the upper hand because they won in the regular season? But now Pacheco's back. Pacheco is on the injured reserve return list now, so he should be back in the next couple of weeks, it sounds like. And then now you still have Kareem Hunt, which is not a terrible thing to have there.
Not at all.
imagine that team with Worthy, Rice, Hopkins, Pacheco, Hunt, Kelsey, and then that defense still.
Yeah, they also got their edge rusher coming
who's
back. I don't
beating
remember his
them?
name, but
Come on.
come on.
Come on.
Let's see. The final thing. Do you want to stop and watch into this, or do you want to keep going? Okay.
I do care, but I don't need to.
No,
stop
I feel
it.
you. The last couple of things, and maybe we'll throw a bet together for this upcoming weekend. Let's see. What do we have for the college slate as well? Let me look that up here real quick. Dun, dun, dun.
Fuck you. Oh, is that an N1?
The Duke game's on in the background, right behind this camera, if anyone's interested. We've got,
If anybody's been wondering what's wrong with Miguel,
the Indiana-Ohio State game is going to be this weekend.
Yeah.
Huge game.
huge.
Huge game. The big noon kickoff, 9 a.m. game. Yeehaw.
Well, Ohio State loses that. They just fall to number 4.
Right, but I mean, we've talked about the implications of the Indiana game. Should Indiana go, it would probably be Indiana-Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
If Ohio State wins, they're primed to get the rematch against Oregon. So
I'm rooting for Indiana, baby.
right
You
now,
want to see Ohio State again?
No, I'd much rather play Indiana.
I wonder, do we have a line on that game?
Not yet. It's too early.
Yeah, it's too early. I'm not seeing a line on that game at the moment. So.
Any other big matchups?
One moment, please. One moment, please.
I'm watching every Boise State game because I'm trying to see Genty get to 4,000 yards.
Do you think that
50 touchdowns.
Arizona State at 7-2 at home takes down BYU?
That's a great game.
That's a good game.
ASU's playing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 7-2, but that is a great fucking game. And if there's, Utah could have won. And BYU got really lucky. Utah could have won that game. ASU's better than Utah this season. That is a game I'm definitely. Is that a late? Is that a 7 p.m. West Coast?
That is not a 7 p.m. game. That
Why?
is a midday. That's 12:30.
Why?
I don't know. Don't know.
Because it's not that hot at Arizona anymore.
Maybe not. Boise State's got Wyoming this week, by the way. And then
1,000 yards rushing. 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, then
1,000 yards.
Washington State, Oregon State, and then Alabama, Oklahoma. Oklahoma just 5-5 this year.
Oklahoma
1-5
sucks.
in the SEC, so not so hot there. That is apparently your 4:30 game. Is
Remember when Oklahoma played Tennessee the day that you moved and Oklahoma was still Oklahoma? And then the rest of the weeks they just tanked.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's your slate of games. Before we
No,
get
Tennessee, Georgia.
no, I don't think that's this week.
It's Tennessee, Oklahoma.
No, Tennessee
Tennessee
Georgia.
is playing UTEP. Georgia is playing Massachusetts. Tennessee, I don't know when Tennessee, Georgia play. Did they already play? Or was that Tennessee, Alabama?
No, they were saying that after Georgia lost to Ole Miss that they have to put they have to place their focus on Georgia, Tennessee. Are you sure?
They play.
Maybe that's next week.
Tennessee plays Georgia. What am I looking at?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Am
sure
I a week ahead?
Georgia plays Tennessee.
Oh, fuck. I'm a whole week ahead.
Yeah, Oregon State plays Army.
Oh, my gosh. I'm a whole week ahead, boys. Redo the slate.
Hey, look who knows more than the computer.
Yeah,
Huh?
no.
The computer. You rely on the computer?
Yeah. What I did was I just clicked the next week above without looking. Okay, so we have none of that.
AI doesn't sell. AI doesn't sell.
Maybe we'll
Humans sell.
We'll go ahead and cut that whole part out.
Keep it in.
Keep that in.
Because now everyone's gonna. So we got Alabama Mercer this week.
Oh, shit.
Oregon State plays Army. Tennessee plays Georgia.
All right. LSU, Florida,
Oregon
Missouri,
has a bye.
South Carolina, Boise State, San Jose State. Do you think still 200 yards?
San Jose State has the best receiver in the country.
Okay.
What?
Stats-wise, Nash, that guy is the best receiver in the country.
Nash, 86 receptions, 1,156 yards, 13 touchdowns.
The best receiver.
That is impressive.
Oregon's got Wisconsin this week.
Oh, I thought
They've already had a bye.
Yeah, they've already had their
It's
bye.
from when you moved.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Tennessee, Georgia. You're right. And then BYU, Kansas. So not as great of a slate of games. We've still got
I think
2
it's still
weeks
good.
to go.
Tennessee,
before
Georgia is so LSU, ASU, BYU is 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, my apologies. So, but the whole thing about the Indiana Ohio State still rings true. Before we get out of here, I just want to talk a little bit about the NBA. Just a couple of things. Chauncey Billups, the next coach to call saying that his team played soft. And he says, if you sleep poorly after this one, you're a loser. Or if you sleep well after this one, you're a loser. The Blazers now have lost 9 games by 45 points or more in their hold on. It's not as bad as hold on. In their franchise history. 4 times has it come in the last 3 or 4 years.
Not good.
And 2 of those I think is this year.
Calling your team soft only works if you have a good team. So the shitty team's going to respond shitty still.
Yeah.
They'll
They're
just
going to
be
be
in a bad
like,
mood.
well, you might be right.
Yeah. When you look, the East sucks. They've only got a couple of good teams. The Cavs, 12-0. My Cleveland Cavaliers, 12-0. So.
Get the fuck out of here.
I am from Cleveland.
I do like I didn't watch the show, but I do like, R.J. Barrett plays for the Raptors, and they were playing the Lakers a couple days ago or last night, and he just got an N1, and did you see that?
I did.
He got to the sideline, and
that's right.
Did a double take, and he goes, Game of Thrones?
He saw the guy from Game of Thrones, Lannister or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I thought that was funny. What
a nerd. He watches Game of Thrones.
Great show.
But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of and then people are saying, oh, they should get rid of Chauncey Billups. No, they shouldn't. They should be just as bad as they need to be, so that then potentially you could get your boy
Mr. Flag.
capture the flag.
He's not coming to Portland.
It's not up to him.
It's up to the lottery, right?
He's not.
Yeah.
Players have control now. He'll be
What do you mean?
No, I don't. I'm not going there. I'll sit out if I go there.
Or should he go Utah?
Yeah, he's white.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What
It's
if he
franchise white?
What if he
player?
did go to Portland? Would you be excited?
That'd be very tough
No,
for you.
we've said this over and over. My investment with Duke players kind of falls off when they
Yeah.
get to the league. It's
Yeah.
really just in the school.
Yeah.
Just making sure you're still standing by that. You're a pretty
Well, it's not-
waffly type of guy.
It's not made up, so it's
As
easy.
expected, as we talked about, the NBA.
Well, look who's watching the Duke Kentucky game.
Ooh, what's
so
up,
you
Mr.
can see where flags going.
Pelinka.
Clearly.
Let's see. In the Western Conference, you would make it into the playoffs if you were 6-4. The worst team, the Jazz at 2-7, Blazers 3-8. In the Eastern Conference, you have if you were going to make the playoffs at 5-7, you would be the Atlanta Hawks. Everyone else is 2 wins, 2 wins, 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. So
If I can say something real quick,
everyone sucks.
I know who Rob Pelinka is.
Yeah.
But if you would have paused that image and would have given me 100 guesses,
You wouldn't have known.
I would have never known who that was.
Yeah. And one.
Rob Pelinka's not even people that don't really watch college basketball know Rob Pelinka as the GM of the Lakers.
Yeah, I knew who he was in the sense of his importance and stature, but his face, I did not.
Who was he?
Outside
Before
of
the
being a
Lakers.
GM.
Oh,
of the
I don't know.
Lakers.
I don't know.
He was Kobe's agent.
Oh,
Can you go past that?
No, I can't.
Pelinka was a member of the Michigan Fab Five team. He wasn't the Fab Five, but he was on that team.
oh yeah.
So Pelinka he obviously didn't start because it was the Fab Five with Jalen Rose and them, but he was on that team. He was on the game. He was part of the game with Michigan, North Carolina, where Weber called
The
that
timeout.
fucking phantom timeout.
So he was like a part of the Super Six.
He was on the bench next to the guy that was
He made him the Super Six.
that was claiming that he told Chris Webber to call a timeout. Like he was part of that bench.
Country.
Fucking Pelinka.
Rockin' Pelinka.
Well, anything else, boys, or should we watch the last minute of this game?
I think, wow, that guy had bitch hits. All right, let's get out of here. Preaching to the choir, right? Here we go. Know the comments now.
Clear your eyes.
Full heart.
Can't lose.